administration says that as soon as next month, they're going to be ending the legal status of more than 500,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. If they don't leave before losing that status, they could be targets for deportation. So these migrants were allowed into this country legally under a program from the Biden administration.
If there ever was a definition of fuck around and find out, we have just found it. Where are my Miami Cubans at, huh? Where are you guys at? Because you guys were loud and proud back then. Where are you at now? He had you all fooled saying that the deportations were only for the bad people, the unalivers, the grapists, the ones bringing drogas into the country, right? He had you guys so fucking fooled. It was only the bad people. And now you guys fucked around and found out because you voted him in, and now look it. Y'all thought because your skin was light enough that you were going to get away with the deportations. But now that it's affecting you all, you're all on the internet boo-hooing and crying. Why are we going back to this country? Why are you sending me back? I did this the right way. He doesn't give a shit. When are you going to learn? If you're brown, if you speak Spanish, he wants you fucking gone. Gone. And now you fuck around and you found out.
Hey, Miami Trump voter says fiance was kidnapped during annual checkup.
Please, she does not deserve this. She's the sweetest person and she prayed for you.
I will vote for Donald Trump. Ha! Hey, vote for Donald Trump.
I didn't vote for this, but I definitely voted Republican.
That's not what I voted for. That's not what I voted. This is what you voted for. Imbécile. Égaré. Wap fout kon George. Parce que this is what you voted for. And don't act shocked. Hey, don't act shocked now. You shocked now? Don't act shocked now. Sitting there acting like you just found out the casino was rigged after you done handed them people your rent money. Don't do that. Don't act shocked. This is Wayne.
8 months that she's been taken. I call it kidnapped because it basically is.
Wayne voted for Donald Trump because he was told that ICE was only gonna go after violent criminals, gangs, dangerous people. Not, the Cuban woman that he was about to marry, the immigrant that he was laying next to every noche. But here's the thing that everybody don't want to say out loud. Wayne is not alone. There are thousands of Waynes out there. Matter of fact, some of y'all Waynes is watching this right now. People who thought that the crackdown would stop at their doorstep, that it would only touch other people's families. ICE has now detained over 1,000 children, 1,000 kids. Kids are walking to school and getting snatched up. Kids are coming home looking for their parents and getting snatched up. Meanwhile, a federal judge literally called ICE's tactics an attack on constitutional order. ICE whistleblowers have made it known that many of these agents are graduating without even knowing their constitutional duties, without knowing the limits of their authority, and without knowing how to recognize an unlawful order.
Cubans thought they were the good immigrants, that their proximity to whiteness would guarantee them protection. Imagine voting for someone you believe would protect you, only to find yourself caught up in policies you never thought would touch you. Many Cubans in Miami are speaking out shocked, frustrated, and asking a painful question. Is this really what we voted for? But it is exactly what they voted for. So let's have a look, and thank you so much for your support, all right? Let's dive into it.
Can you imagine what's happening in Miami right now? Those Miami Cubans are losing their everlasting mind because they're like, yay, Donald Trump said he's going to take us. And they thought it was a good idea. They were like, that's a great idea. He can take us because we're going to trade one dictatorship for another. He doesn't see what's happening right now. Donald Trump doesn't want you in this country. He wants you to go back to your island. And I don't know what to tell you. You're looking for status like Puerto Rico. Right now, they're working behind the scenes to make Puerto Rico an independent country. You don't seem to understand that. The problem is logistics for them because they make so much money, billions of dollars because of the Jones Act. Meanwhile, while all of this is happening and people are starving, they don't have enough oil to keep the lights on, and they're not able to provide for their family. And forget about housing, because it's no bueno. But you guys are jumping up for joy. You know what he's going to do? A big old golf course right there in Cuba. And there's going to be some serious colonization going on if anything was to happen. You guys are ridiculous.
Growing up in America, you hear that Cubans can never be sent back to Cuba. So they were absolutely comfortable with voting against other Latinos, thinking that they were absolutely protected. Imagine your ancestors escaping servitude. Imagine your ancestors escaping a dictatorship. Imagine your ancestors fleeing for their lives. People who lost their lives in the passage to get here to America. And you fall into white supremacy. Your ancestors are rolling in their fucking graves. They're rolling in their graves. And now after all of that, you gotta salsa your ass back over the border because you wanted to fall in line with white supremacy, believing that your skin color was exactly the same as theirs. You thought you had the complexion for protection. You really thought you was a brother from another mother, but you're not. Understand. They needed your votes. They don't need you. They needed your votes. They don't need you. And guarantee you, in a few years, your children's or your children's children will come back and probably do exactly the same, because that's how white supremacy works. It took for them to hire a racist comedian, call Puerto Rico an island of garbage, for Puerto Ricans to say, whoa, wait, they don't like us? That's the people you're dealing with. Now y'all sitting here crying, wondering, saying that we got used. You didn't get used. They laughed right in front of your face. The thing is, you were laughing, thinking that they were laughing with you. They were laughing at you.
So why are so many Cubans still supporting Trump when more and more Cubans are getting deported? Okay, that's a question that I hear getting tossed around on here a lot. And let me unpack this for you a little bit. The first waves of Cubans, the OG Cubans who came, they came in the 1960s and they were trying to escape communism, right? Because they felt like their property, their wealth, all that shit was getting taken by the government. The people in Cuba who had property and wealth to be taken were the white presenting Cubans, the ones that looked more like me. They were more white presenting because it was fuck ton of racism, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. There's a fuck ton of racism in Cuba at that time. I mean, there still is. And so they came here and they were like, we can never go back. We've lost everything, all right? And they were perfectly happy and perfectly content until 1980. And in 1980, what happened is that Castro allowed Cubans to leave through the port of Mariel. Right, so there was the Mariel boat lift. So people from Miami were going to go get relatives. Charter boats would go out and pick up Cubans. And one of the things also that Castro did at that time is that he opened up prisons and he opened up mental institutions. And there were a lot of queer people in those spaces because queer people were criminalized in Cuba. They were in jail. If you were queer, if you were trans, you were in jail in Cuba. And so he was releasing all these people. And he was also releasing people with like mental health disorders who were in mental hospitals and things like that, right? And so the Cubans in Miami saw that wave that was coming was also people that were more brown and black. That's where the people that were coming in the Mariel were more brown and black, and they were more poor. And those OG Cubans are racist as fuck and they're classist as fuck. Yeah? That's my family. My family were the OG Cubans. And I was raised with this, so I'm telling you from the inside. I was raised to look at the people that were coming during the Mariel, who were browner, who were blacker, who were queer. I was taught that they were scum. And the Cubans that were already here wouldn't give them jobs, wouldn't allow them to rent little apartments or spaces or whatever. No. They refused them. They didn't want to absorb them into the culture here. And so where did those people go? Some of them were able to find places to live in historically black neighborhoods in Miami, like Liberty City and Overtown and Alapata, right? Because again, the Cubans were like, dark-skinned Cubans, we don't want them here. Poor Cubans, we don't want them here. Right? But other marginalized groups in the United States were okay. We're like, yeah, come. A lot of them also ended up in other states because the United States was like, well, you can't, there's no jobs for you in Miami, so we're going to send you somewhere else for work. And this fucking like bigotry towards your own people, that continued through the decades. It continued through the balseros that came, the people that came on rafts in the late 1990s and the early 2000s. And so this OG group of Cubans truly believed that they were the best Cubans because they were the white Cubans, because they were the Cubans with money. They believed that they were the best Cubans and that they believed that they were the only Cubans who really had a right to be here because they were going back to Cuba. And all these newer Cubans wanted to go back to Cuba to visit relatives and friends. Like, of course they want to go visit their relatives and friends. Of course they miss them. And if it's possible for them to do that, they would. And then it became possible for them to do that. And so that spurred even more hatred and vitriol to those groups. I was raised to believe these things. I was raised to believe that I was a better Cuban and that all these other Cubans needed to go back. Like, it's so bad that the term Marielito of the people that came in the 1980s during the Mariel boat lift, Marielito was tossed around as a slur, as a derogatory term. Like when Cubans would see like someone like running a red light or, you know, whatever, or cursing out loud in public, they'd be like, oh, that's a Marielito, right? Like some disgusting rat or something like that. Okay, so those OG Cubans taught their kids and their grandkids and their great-grandkids to think that way. And that's why there are so many Cubans who are perfectly happy watching other Cubans getting deported. Because for decades they have been waiting for this moment for decades. And I guarantee you that the Cubans who came in the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, even the most recent ones, I guarantee you that they don't even really fully realize how much the OG Cubans and their descendants hate them. I don't think they realize it. I think that they believe like, oh, we're all comrades. We vote Republican together. We all have the same value system. And it's like, no, honey. You've been out white supremacistized. You've been out fucking Cubanized by your own community. You've been duped. You've been fucking duped. And they've been waiting for decades to get rid of you. And that's why they're still supporting Trump. They're happy about that. They want Cubans to get deported. They want that. And that's where Marco Rubio comes from, right? He was raised the same way that I was. He was brainwashed into believing that his own people were trash and that they needed to go. And now he's making that happen. I'm sure his family is super proud.
I saw a video of a Cuban guy who voted for Trump who is now crying on the internet. He's a trucker. And now truckers are required to speak English, right? And this guy, he voted for Trump. He made it very public that he voted for Trump. He doesn't speak a lick of English, no English whatsoever. So now he's mad. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Trump? Like, I've been in this country for 20 plus years and I've never needed English and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just thinking, okay. First of all, you've been here 20 plus years. Anyone that has been in this country for 20 plus years is required to speak English. I don't give a fuck. On top of that, you voted for him though. And this goes for all of those Cuban people, because Cubans were so loud and obnoxious about Cubans for Trump. I unfollowed this obnoxious influencer girl who quite literally was an illegal, but of course married a white guy. And all of a sudden she's all about, I'm a conservative woman, I voted for Trump, blah, 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 blah. Like, girl, please be for reals. And so Cubans were so loud about voting for him, and it's just, I don't even think it's funny anymore. Now it's just like seeing all of these people who voted for him getting slapped in the fucking face. It's just, I can't even say it's funny anymore. Like, it's like, hello, we knew this was happening. We knew this was gonna happen. So anyways, karma is real. What have I been telling you guys? Karma is real. And every single person who voted for that man and is now crying about it is getting their effing karma. And we don't feel bad for you.
Latinos, doesn't matter where you are, Mexico, Cubanos, Argentina, everything, any kind of Latino you can possibly think of, always have thought that the lighter skin you are, the closest to proximity of white that you can be. And the unfortunate part is most Cubans are light-skinned, so they always think that they get a free fucking pass because they're somehow light-skinned enough, but they're never white-skinned enough. And not to mention that Cuba was a fucking dictatorship country, so it makes perfect sense that they want some fascist leader to go ahead and run the country. And not to mention they were colonized by Spain, and they have colorism like a motherfucker. And the internalized racism that they have, because Afro-Cubanos will literally say that they are white without like hesitating at all. I mean, I lived in New York for a very long time, and the Cubanos who think that they're literally white are fascinating to me because they literally feel as if they are the exception to the rule, but yet they do not know that obviously they were enslaved by Spain, and that they're not only Latino, but most of them are Afro-Cubanos or Afro-Latinos. So like, it's just fucking wild. That's why.
As this situation continues to unfold, what you're witnessing is more than just political disappointment. It is a moment of reckoning. Because for a long time, many people believe that proximity, whether cultural, economic, or even perceived, could offer a kind of safety. That if you aligned yourself closely enough with power, with a certain identity, or with a political movement, you would somehow be shielded from its harsher edges. But history has shown us over and over again that policies don't operate on assumptions or even loyalty. They operate on systems, and systems don't pause to ask who supported them. That's the part that's difficult for many to process right now, the idea that support does not equal protection. For some Cuban Americans, especially in places like Miami, political alignment was shaped by the very real fears: fear of socialism, fear rooted in history, in family stories, in generational trauma. Those concerns are real, and they influence how people voted. But what we are seeing now is a collision between those fears and a broader reality, one where immigration policies don't always make distinctions based on background or even past support. And that's where the shock is coming from. Many believe this won't affect us, and now they are realizing it can. This moment also highlights something deeper about political decision making, the importance of looking beyond messaging and asking hard questions about outcomes. Because politics is not just about what is said during campaigns, it's about what is enforced afterward, and enforcement doesn't always match the narrative people were sold. Another layer to this conversation is the idea of division, how different communities sometimes fail to see that their struggles are more connected than they think. Many people were warned about political consequences of Trump's policies, but those warnings were dismissed, and sometimes they are seen as exaggeration. And that's not about saying we told you so, because at the end of the day, real people are being affected, families, and lives disrupted. This is a reminder that decisions at the ballot box have real consequences. They show up in very real personal ways. So critical thinking matters more than ever, because voting is not just about identity or emotion. It's about understanding policy impact and long-term consequences. It's about asking who benefits, who is at risk, and what happens if things don't go the way we expect. Those are not easy questions, but they are necessary ones. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.